Sean Charney, thanks for the tag, everybody. You blink, you'll miss stuff. Aaron O'Toole goes through, just slams, block the whole left, which isn't really that unnormal. But the reality is Aaron O'Toole going to be able to hold official opposition? Doesn't look good. He rips into block amongst the other parties, but everybody, February 21st, 2021, you can read in writing, Aaron O'Toole promises at great expense, absolutely tremendous expense of Alberta and Saskatchewan, to pay out Quebec. He does that. Now, Justin Trudeau is going with Canada's UNDRIP to officially put Francophones into Indigenous status. That's what he's working on. He's taking the France narrative, who was a colonial, and put it in Indigenous under UNDRIP. Canada will take this non-binding agreement, and Trudeau's going to promise Quebec, Nova Scotia, and citizens of New Brunswick on the Francophone side, the world at the expense of every taxpayer. Ultimate centralization. It may even overtake equalization. Now, Aaron O'Toole says, oh, those parties are all bad, they're all bad. Aye, under the great tutelage of absolutely conservatives from their entirety since 1956, we created equalization. We made sure it got unilaterally ascended into the Constitution of Canada, and we will make sure to pay out Quebec through equalization at the tremendous expense of Saskatchewan and Alberta. Mostly Alberta, because they have such a heavily saturated industry of fossil fuels, 85%. Aaron O'Toole promises that all the new coming on prices will only mean absolute transfer from Alberta and Saskatchewan to none other than Quebec. This isn't in a small scale. He also promises it to Toronto, the city of Toronto that I work in. He promises 6 million people, 50,000 new housing projects at the tremendous expense of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Think about that. Not even 5 million people are going to transfer their wealth and resources to 6 million people just in Toronto. Subsidized housing, massive. You can all read it. Then he goes on to say, don't worry, Quebec, we're going to make sure Montreal gets the exact same deal, as well as a whole new system for Francophones that will match absolutely Justin Trudeau's centralization plan under UNDRIP, which won't get taken down. So not only is UNDRIP going to carry on, and centralization, meaning Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC, and other province tax resources will be put through in centralization, he's going to expand equalization. It's the most socialist I've ever seen conservatives present, except for Diefenbaker. Everybody go back in time. It was Diefenbaker who cemented in the Constitution equalization at the expense of none other than Alberta, all over our natural gas. But of course they've changed that. Conservatives changed that. Harper changed it and added a new formula taking into account all non-renewables, fossil fuels, and never mind non-renewables used in the construction of subsidized housing or commercial projects for major cities. Those don't count. Quebec doesn't have to pay, neither does Ontario. Only Alberta and other provinces that use fossil fuels, and anyone who takes those fossil fuels and uses them in the construction of housing doesn't have to pay. So it's actually only Alberta citizens, Saskatchewan citizens, Northern British Columbia citizens, and absolutely the primary sector involved in that, which they pass the buck onto the citizens of the province. There's no escape of socialism, everybody. Aaron O'Toole is lying to everybody when he says it's only Liberal, NDP, Bloc, and Green. He's actually right in there with them. There is no right party. There's no conservative. There's no taxation with representation in Canada. There never has been. Erin O'Toole is by far just as socialist as Justin Trudeau. There is no platform being presented in writing today. I swear on this, on everything I am. I've done all the work. There is no difference, absolutely, between Erin O'Toole and Justin Trudeau. They both are extreme socialists. Now, NDP has even more radical social platforms, but as radical as Justin Trudeau and his tremendous borrowing, Erin O'Toole and Pierre Poilievre promised to do exactly the same thing under the guise of equalization and centralization, where Justin Trudeau says, we'll leave equalization as it is, but the expansion of centralization and borrowing against the West will continue unlimited for the next 3 years. And the East is okay with that. We have to explain to all Canadians that's what the CCP is. Unpopular, not populist, but 100% truthful. That we have to work as a united country. All peoples are the same, but that means the same effort and energy is put into viability of economics. You don't promise people all kinds of free stuff, because we all know in this world, every single one of you knows in your heart of hearts, nothing is free. Nothing's ever been free for you, the dirty third-class citizen. It is you or the option of your children will be expensed. I've already calculated the expense to my children. There is no way, unless they can find or marry a doctor, a higher second-class citizen, for my girls in third class, even going to college or university, to ever be able to afford any kind of home I had raised them in. That's not possible for them anymore, as it isn't possible for millennials and the new generation, the Z generation. There's nothing for them, and absolutely nothing for the class coming after them. Don't fall for these Hong Kong economics. That's what it is. UK perpetuates it. Canada perpetuates it. As long as you run with small c constitutionalism and you have absolutely no big C for we the people, you're doomed. You're doomed, and it's coming, you guys. You already see it today. The housing prices are too high. There's no viability for anyone coming out in the $40,000 to $85,000 income range. There's no viability for them, let alone anyone underneath that. They're gone. They're gone. They can't make it in Ontario. They absolutely can't make it in British Columbia. And very soon, they won't even be able to make it in Alberta. It won't be long, regardless of what Atlantic does, before that becomes unaffordable. You can thank your greasy politicians for all of this, namely Conservative, Liberal, and NDP. That's reality. Bloc will always be Bloc. Give the Quebecois everything they need from this confederation, and we'll let you reign supreme. That's all it is. People talk about Maverick, talk about 50, 60 seats at maximum. You can't effectively do anything. Conservatives are finished. That party's been finished for a long time. Since Harper finished it off. People tell me today, I was listening to Conservatives, the Conservatives have to yield to all this stuff. They have to make concessions. No, we need to educate people. And the second that you think that somehow you're entitled to something that you didn't work for and somebody else is to go out and work for it for you, you've lost any and all definition of a conservative. I'll never be that way. I didn't raise any of my children to be that way. And even with all that, there is no hope in hell for them if we don't change Canada. And I promise all of you, regardless of what anyone tells you, if we can settle the First Nation claims, settle Canada, free those people and give them tremendous wealth, what is left for the 40 million other Canadian citizens is tremendous wealth too. Now the first class doesn't want this. Powerful special interests don't want this. The wealthiest of the wealthy, those top second-class citizens, foreign, a lot of them foreign, most of them foreign, 75% of these domestic boards are foreign. They will fight tooth and nail to stop that. Because it is true, housing prices, big commercial properties will fall. If we could settle the claims, settle First Nations, when you make everybody tremendously wealthy and you introduce that amount of land in a boom that lasts tremendous amount of decades to come, many, many generations, it won't settle out for a very, very long time. Upwards of over 100, maybe 150 years, depending on the system you all put in place through constitutionalism. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of losing the power and the control over all of you. They're scared that commodity prices will crash and all of a sudden wood doesn't cost so much because it's readily available. People are working for themselves for the new lands they have. New rules for foreign interests. That's what you can all do. This terrifies the greasy, sleazy politician because you won't need them anymore. And those you do elect will be subject to you. That's the worst thing that could happen for the first-class citizen of Canada, the absolute autocrats. They will fight tooth and nail. Their foreign special interests will invest heavy to fight tooth and nail. They already are. That's reality. America could never have a boom like this. Only Canada could do this in North America. The land is there. It sits with the autocrats right now, serving their special interests, filling up their back pockets. First Nations see hardly nothing. Canadian citizens get taxed on all the screw-ups over and over again, while wealthiest of wealthy billionaires, approaching trillionaires, rip you off blind and leave you all holding the bag every time. It's your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren who are losing it all. That's truth. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful night. That's my last one, I hope, unless there's something else breaking. But Aaron O'Toole bankrupted the Conservative Party. He absolutely did. He thinks he can try to weasel out the votes, but he doesn't understand the East. He doesn't even belong in there anymore. He's out of touch. Most of his party's out of touch. Their followings are falling off. It just gets worse for them. That's reality. Until we start telling the truth, until we start building something for all the people, we the people, we're never going to get there. And I'd like to see Canada stronger than it is now. Thank you. Bye now.